Mike Mayo, which if the Panthers are down, 3-1 after two periods, I would have to say I defer to the notion that, well, I have to get up early tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to watch the rest of this game. Because who would want to sit with an incredible rat like Mayo? I had to take it all day yesterday on the radio show. I fired back with everything I had. I even said that the officiating was very fun.
You brought up the refs and hockey.
Favor the Capitals, like a joke of an argument. Yeah.
That's great. We're desperate when we're bitching about refs and hockey.
Refs and hockey refs. Man, they call a lot of penalties. You know what? If you looked at it, very pathetic state of mind to be in. That's what happens when you got a big mouth and you start losing a bet. So I give Mayo all the liberty he wants. I mean, if he's up 2-0 when he comes on the show tomorrow, I'll just give him the whole show. No point in us coming back with anything. It's like an argument with your wife, right? What's the point of coming back with something?
Yeah.
You think she's buying your argument? Of course not. That's why you're fighting in the first place.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Wednesday here in South Florida. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest one, Mike Lubitz is semi-depressed. Mike Lubitz, as we witnessed, I don't know that it was history. I was talking with the aforementioned Mike Mayo, who's been mentioned at the beginning of every show for the last 3 weeks. I think we've been playing that same clip. Do we have nothing else that we can offer the people here from the many statements that we made on the program to introduce them into the program? You're obsessed with that clip, or is it that you just can't get up early enough to change it one day?
I mean, I'm here early enough. I'm here well before the show. I'm in love with it because it still fits. But yes, there will be a new clip. There will be other things. But after last night, it actually sort of fits. I was yelling about the refs for half the night, even though it wasn't the refs.
No, it was a collapse in a third period. I don't know that it had anything to do with officiating there. The Panthers had their opportunities and ended up getting, what? Did they have 4 power plays in this game?
I know they
ended up 0 for 22 now.
At the beginning of the third period, they had 3. They were 0 for 3 on.
0 for 3 in the third period on a power play. So 0 for 22 for the 2 series combined, which now encompasses a total of 7 games. You cannot go 7 games without a power play goal in the postseason when the pressure is ratcheted up exponentially. And if you're going to blow these opportunities and allow the other team to score on their power plays, which they did allow the Caps to stay in games courtesy of power play goals, which, it wasn't like they were horrible on penalty kills. They were actually pretty good. Considering they staved off a couple of 5-on-3s in that series. But you can't keep this going and expect to win. And as you continue to pay homage to Mike Mayo and the ridiculous nature of his opening round bet, I don't know. I mean, that didn't look too promising last night. I don't think you can just shrug away these sort of lackluster losses that the Panthers are incurring in the first games of the 2 series that they've played so far and say, oh, well, regular season, maybe you just pack your bags, you go on the road and you turn the thing right around. Now, all of a sudden, it's a bullseye on their face as you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, an accomplished team, 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion, who, and it's possible, I don't always buy this, but it's possible. It happens more in the NBA, I would think, than it does, and maybe there's some way to fix this by changing the way that you configure the postseason. I mean, baseball found a way to make almost all of its regular season relevant because of the fact that you do not want to play in those early wild card games. You don't want to be involved. You want to win your division, and so they've placed an emphasis on playing every regular season game as if it meant something. And you'll find this in Major League Baseball now with added expansion in the playoffs. You will find it that, right down to the last day of the regular season, it may be vital, crucial for either the Yankees or whoever happens to be chasing them, whether it's Toronto. A lot of people thought Toronto was going to be really good this year, and so far that hasn't been overwhelmingly the case. They're okay, slightly above 500. The amazing team of all time in all of sports, the amazing organization now has to be the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah. As year after year, it doesn't matter who they get rid of, who they unload, who is rated and taken from their team in free agency, who they have to trade because they can't afford to pay the guy. Every year you look at the standings, and there they are, tracking right in either behind or even on top of what is supposed to be one of the real tough divisions in Major League Baseball, the American League East, although the Red Sox haven't been playing great ball, and They now they had Evaldi on the mound yesterday, and he gave up 5 home runs in 1 inning, setting a major league record.
Impossible.
Nathan Evaldi, who
How's that
had
impossible?
his ups and downs as a starting pitcher. At times when he's really good, he is really good, and
Legit.
I guess at other times when he goes south, it's not a pretty picture. But 5 home runs, a major league record. No pitcher has ever done that before, giving up 5 home runs in a single inning. Very few pitchers would have the opportunity to give up 5 home runs because where was Alex Cora? Was he asleep? Was he checking the signs
Yeah,
of some video machine in a clubhouse? Did he not realize this guy was getting shelled? Come on, Alex. Make a move. I like Alex Cora because a couple of years when I was doing Hurricanes baseball, baseball, I think I did that for like 3 years, 3 seasons. And I want to say that Cora was the shortstop for 2 of those seasons at least, if not all 3. And I always admired the way that the guy played, and he accomplished himself, or distinguished himself as a manager with major accomplishments. And then at the same time, what was he doing yesterday? I mean, if Stevie Wonder is managing the team, he couldn't see that the guy was getting annihilated on the mound. 5 home runs given up by Nathan Evaldi yesterday, so that was ugly. But the Red Sox not playing great. The Rays always seem to be in there, and it's still amazing when you look at the standings with the Yankees in just an amazing mode right now and doing everything right, seemingly so. You have the Rays chasing right in behind them. But it could boil down to the last game of the regular season, very likely, no matter how well you're playing early on now. And that's called protecting the integrity of the regular season. A move that looked like just a blatant money grab, expansion of the playoffs, a typical thing that we see where before you know it, more than half the teams in the league, as is the case in hockey and the NBA, end up making the postseason, which I don't know that makes that any kind of brilliant consideration just to make it into the postseason. But in hockey especially, anything can happen and often does. Tesler contended yesterday that maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning, because they are the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions, did not go wholeheartedly into every game of the regular season. Are you buying that? Maybe their record, even though they had less points than the Panthers during the regular season, that it's possible. And I don't want to draw this conclusion after just one game, but is it possible, certainly in the last couple of years, that you would have to say that they are the best team in hockey, that they might be the better team here in spite of the Panthers winning the President's Cup? Certainly looked that way in the third period last night when the so-called money was on the table. So that was a bitter disappointment.
Yep.
It wasn't like Bobrovsky got shelled. Vasilevsky, of course, comes up with virtually every save. And
That's the problem.
once it got to be 2-1, what was my message to you? Final score going to be 4-1.
4-1, yep.
And sure enough, it was.
Yep.
I was expecting an empty netter, though. I wasn't expecting the Lightning to score twice more on the power play in the third period, which doesn't bode well when you're going to go 0 for 22 yourself. You can't be giving up these goals. And ugly scene. And now, once again, the pressure and the pivotal game 2 comes into play as the Florida Panthers now need to desperately protect their home ice. Or, as you were saying, maybe we should keep playing that Mayo clip because he did predict a sweep by the Lightning. Then, of course, he backed off completely and changed his mind and said, oh, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. You know that. They'll probably win it in 6 or 7 games, the Panthers. But didn't look good there. My man Nikita Khrushchev came through with a goal. That guy, I mean, just fired the puck from the right side on one of the power play goals, and that was the game clincher as the Lightning went up 3-1 at that point, shortly after they had taken a 2-1 lead on another goal where are these Panther defenders? You just have guys like hanging out in front of the net there, unimpeded and without any kind of pressure on them whatsoever. With impunity, as they say, right? Isn't that the word? Impunity?
Yeah.
Am I making that word up, Lubie? What do you think?
No, that's what they'll say. I don't know what to do with that game. They came out, scored early. I got excited. They were very aggressive. I mean, they outshot the Lightning like by 10 shots by the midway point of the second period, and then it all went to crap. They couldn't get one in the net. Again, they're facing a goalie look, Bobrovsky played fine. Bobrovsky hasn't been the issue, but again, like we talked about last series, he doesn't stand out. He's going to give up 2 goals. Like, that's happening. Like, you can't expect him to stand on his head for an entire game and have pitch a shutout or have a 1-goal game. These other goalies do. Like, they were barraging Vasilevsky, even on the early power plays. Like, they were attacking. They can't get it in the net. And at some point, these other teams, Capitals, Lightning, are going to score. And I don't know what the hell has happened to their offense. Like, that's what's funny. Their defense struggled in the third period, but It's been their offense this entire playoffs. They were the best offense in the last like 25 years in hockey. And this playoffs, they've been really struggling. And I don't know what to do with it. And the fact that the epitome is the power play. Like, to me, that I don't know how hockey works. I know there's a lot of luck, but come on, over 22. You tell me there's not. Lightning didn't
almost impossible to be that lame. And it wasn't as if they were bad on the power play. They were. I saw a stat. They were third in the league with like 65 power play goals during the regular season. So, they were converting at a normal pace, if not a little bit better than most teams in the league. So it's sort of inexplicable. Now, if they lose this series, this is an interesting question because you posed it. And I love Barry Trotz, who just got canned by the New York Islanders. Now, this is a legitimate, long-time, knowledgeable, and successful NHL coach. So if you're this brunette guy and you lose to the Lightning, after winning that first series, which everybody made a big deal about the first time that they've won in 25, 26 years of a playoff series, but they hadn't been in that many. It's the old Barry Bonds thing where the guy was like 3 for, 37 or something as a hitter, but he hadn't been up that many times. And then once he got to the plate and started clicking, he became one of the dynamic postseason players towards the end. I mean, we've seen it before. Dave Winfield had some horrendous postseasons and then would crack out of it. But if they lose this series, would you take the interim title away from Brunette and just make it no title whatsoever and not bring him back as coach, especially if you had the opportunity to grab a guy like a Barry Trotz, who you would have to think would be an upgrade in terms of experience and all of the knowledge and the intuition that he has about the league over a guy who was an assistant coach and all of a sudden found himself in the head coaching spot with a team that just also happened to be red hot.
Look, I don't know. I have no problem complaining about coaches in other sports because I have coached and I play these sports and I do understand the value of a coach, good and bad. Hockey, I don't as much. So I would love to talk to someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about when it comes to this. But watching it, yes, he went through a lot. Quenneville, the whole disaster early in the season, right of the ship, went on to win the President's Trophy. And as you see with the Avalanche they beat out the Avalanche. So they had a great regular season. And then they got past the Capitals team. That was tough. But they were life and death in that series. And a lot of it was the things we're seeing them struggle with now. To me, we've seen Barry Trotz come into places and just take them to another level. That feels like that's what the Panthers need. The Panthers are real close, but they need something to get them over the top. And it doesn't feel like the fact that the power play is it's still inept. Like, they do nothing with rebounds. Like, you see, that's how these other teams scores is they're attacking the net. There's always 2 or 3 guys camped down front to put it in. It's one shot and done every time. Like, one shot and done every time. You're telling me there's nothing they could do to come up with something different? Like, then why have a coach? So I don't know. Brunette's done a nice job. To me, if you lose in 4 or 5 games, like if you don't make this a war and it somehow is worse than last year, then he's shown what he is.
A lot of pressure will be on the Panthers tomorrow night as they resume that series at home, needing obviously to stave off going down 0-2 to a 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion team who might have, I don't know that they mailed it in the regular season. They were good, the Lightning. And, they obviously had their battles with the Panthers in the regular season. They did dominate the last game that they played in the regular season, but I'm not sure how much incentive there was. Panthers had been on a roll, and they were due to maybe throw in a clunker or throw in a stinker.
And everything locked
up.
And
they did win that game 8-4, but, going into the third period, tied at 1 apiece. Yeah. After getting back from a 1-0 deficit, the Lightning dominated that third period in a fashion that was a little bit frightening if you were a Panther fan. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they can bounce back. They did it against the Capitals. Everybody was throwing in the towel after game number 1. They came back, and then when they were down 2-1, they rallied from the grave and won 3 straight. And that then obviously snapped their 3-game winning streak. And it wasn't as if the Lightning were overwhelmingly dominant against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the previous series. They were life and death to win a 7-game series against another very good team out of the East. So unfortunate result, though, last night. Very disappointing, very deflating. And I'm glad we didn't take up Mayo on that bet. He won at 10-1. Which I'm not sure that he couldn't have gotten better odds if he really thought this wager was worthwhile. But he won at 10-1 from us. We would have had to buy him 10 dinners to his 1 if we had accepted his challenge of saying that there's no way that the Panthers would get swept. I don't think they get swept in a series. I really don't. I mean, we've seen turnarounds before in hockey games and in the postseason. It's been up and down for virtually all teams. Hell, you had 5 series go 5 series go to 7 games in the first round of the playoffs. So it's been contentious, and we'll see what happens. The one team that's been dominant now, 5-0 in the postseason, the Colorado Avalanche, although they were getting shellacked in terms of shots on goal in the game. No, they put like 50 shots on goal on St. Louis. What's the guy's name? Is it Binnington, the St. Louis goalie? I'm not sure, but something along those lines. And he stopped like 50-something shots, but still ended up losing 3-2 in overtime. As the Colorado Avalanche now were beaten 5 straight. And in the Western Conference, heavily favored to win the Western Conference, and well on their way to doing it after scoring a victory in the game last night against the St. Louis Blues. A couple of more series get underway. Actually, you have 2 more series getting underway tonight in the National Hockey League. You have Calgary and Edmonton going to go after each other. And in this one, I don't know, I may resurrect my old Ranger fandom if I'm going to have to be tortured by the Florida Panthers. Because I'll always have an affinity for the New York Rangers. Grew up in New York. I remember tucked under the bed there. You'd put the covers over your head and hide the transistor radio under the pillow and listen to Marv Albert, Win Elliott, these guys calling hockey, whether it was on radio or TV. I was a huge Win Elliott fan. Still one of the great moments of my life, I told you, of my broadcasting career, and it sticks out vividly in terms of my visualization techniques, so Lubie. I'm sitting on a couch in a little one-bedroom apartment I had in Hollywood, Florida. My son, Jesse, was an infant. He couldn't have been more than a few months old. And I got a gig because I was working at a CBS-affiliated radio station, which was WINZ back in the old days, 940 Wins, where we finished up our radio career here in South Florida. But I started there like 40 years prior. And one of the great things was, even though I wasn't making a lot of money, I was able to make some side dough by doing various stringer jobs for networks. You had the Associated Press, UPI would be calling you for clips all the time. And the best gig of them all was, and I want to say the guy's name was Jim Kelly, that was hosting the CBS Sports Saturday. And he took over from Win Elliott, who was one of my favorite iconic. It would be like getting on a show with Don Dunphy and having him throw like a boxing thing where he did the intro and said, "Now let's go ringside to Jeff Deforrest." And you're thinking, "What? Whoa!" Introduced by Don Dunphy, my childhood idol as a broadcaster. And Win Elliott was one of those guys for me. So Win Elliott was hosting this thing called CBS Sports Saturday or something along those lines. And they would employ stringers from different cities to come on and do live reports about key football games, which at that time in the early 80s,
the Dolphins were a big deal.
You had the Miami Dolphins were a prominent factor here. So I want to say that this was like during the 84 season. My son was like a year old, and I get the call from Win Elliott to do a thing on the Dolphins game. They were playing the Buffalo Bills or something. So I'm waiting, and this is a big shot for me, right? I had just come here from California maybe a year prior, and now I'm on a national radio show with my idol, one of my idols from my childhood broadcasting aspirations, the great Win Elliott, who was tremendous on hockey. I used to love it. He was such a diehard Ranger fan, in addition to being a good announcer. It wasn't like he was an overwhelming, homer or shill. He wasn't one of these guys who was complaining about everything that the other team got every possible break. But he lived and died with the Rangers. They would be down 5-0 with like 12 seconds to go in a game, and boom, boom, Jeffrey would hit one off the post. And he would have his face in his hands going, "I can't believe it, hit the post." It's like, when they weren't going to win anyway. I mean, it was great. Check him out. So sure enough, I get my big shot. Now, I'm sort of, nervously anticipating what's going to happen there, because I wasn't the first guy up on the program. And Win does his thing. He gives a couple of scores and this from the previous night. And he says, "Now let's check in on the National Football League." And we head south to Miami, Florida, where Jeff Deforrest is standing by. And he's got this look at the Dolphins and the Bills. So, all right, I'm getting ready to go. I'm on a phone there. And this predated everybody having cell phones. So I'm on like a landline. And here it is, my turn to go. And as that happens, at the precise moment that I get to throw, here's Jeff Deforrest in South Florida here, with his report on the Dolphins. I was holding my son. My wife wasn't home. He's like 9 months old. He throws up all over me.
No.
throws up all over me as I'm about to speak. Literally, like spits out the formula that I was feeding
Oh
him,
my
and
God.
which now I guess you would just gather it up and put it back in a bottle and say, "Hey, we ain't going to
Jesus.
be finding any more of this shit anytime soon." And
Oh,
I was actually I stopped for a second. It was sort of
ouch.
a sign from the gods of broadcasting, and I said, "Look at this, my big moment." I mean, I moved to Florida to try and get these kind of opportunities. I got
Man.
myself a regular job on the radio. I think I'm going to make it from here. This is a good platform. I'm on national radio. I'm hoping some of my friends back in California are tuned in and say, "Hey, look at that! The guy did make it after all. He wasn't crazy." And I've got baby vomit all over me, and I was thinking, isn't that appropriate, right?
Oh yeah.
Your big moment, and you're swimming in vomit.
Oh, for sure. That's this business.
Kind of like when Timothy Robbins crawls through all of that sewage in Shawshank, and as you're trying to find your way to your enlightened moment and your moment of freedom and realization and whatever epiphanies you're going to have, you usually have to climb through like a lot of shit to get there.
Yes.
And there it was. It was all sitting all over me. But I did do the report, so
Yeah. You just go through it. That is what it is.
yeah, it made me feel like, no matter what tragedy is happening, you know who gets all verklempt when something goes wrong? Our man, Mike Mayo.
Oh,
Right?
well, he's new though. He's not a broadcaster. Like you'd been doing it a decent amount of time by then, I'm sure. Like, my first time, I'm sure I wouldn't handle it like a champ. But I mean, at some point, you realize, yeah, it's gonna happen.
What are you going to say to a national audience? Excuse me,
You just
I'll
keep
have
going.
this report for you in just a couple of seconds because they only gave you like 20
Yeah,
seconds to
you
do
have
the
like
thing
20,
anyway.
30 seconds. You gotta just go.
It was like
Yeah,
a 5-minute show, the whole thing, if it was even that, maybe 3
you gotta
minutes.
just
But
go.
it was always good. And wow, never forget that moment. And I kind of, it's looking like we were going to go out the door too, covered in a
Yeah,
substance
not
that
all of us, yeah.
is not particularly gratifying to be associated with. But yeah, there it was, throw up all over my big moment, my shining moment in broadcasting. So that was ugliness, and I would have thrown up if I had been doing a game because you just can't. How many more ways can you say it? Is that coaching? Is that bad luck?
I don't know.
When a team goes absolutely ice cold, unprecedented, frozen assets coming forward on these power plays and not scoring one goal in now 7 games. Pretty unusual. So I don't know if this series, a loss in the series, would cost the guy his job. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like that kind of organization, does it? You know who else is out there? The former Panther coach, Peter DeBoer.
Well, the Panthers wouldn't do that.
He just got canned by the Las Vegas Golden Knights, where and this is interesting in the NHL. You don't see this so much in other sports. You'll have guys get extensions with losing records, and they'll say, "Yeah, you know what? We're bringing Booney back for one more year or whatever." But in the NHL, you can have a wild, disproportionate upside record where Trotz was like 150 and something under 100 in his years with the Islanders, who were a downtrodden, long-term kind of bozoic franchise before that, and gets let go. And DeBoer had a huge upside-winning record with the Golden Knights, including a couple of very impressive playoff appearances. They missed the playoffs this year. Whoosh, out the door, my friend. It's a very short leash on these hockey coaches. They will change them without any kind of real justification or no anticipation that the guy was on the so-called hot seat. It's not like it's Ed Ogeron, where if he gets fired, you go, "Oh yeah, well, he's been on the hot seat for 28 years." He's just sitting there like he was, using Old Sparky at the dinner table. So that didn't go too well. And now on the other side of town, south of where the Panthers were putting up a lackluster third period and getting blown out by the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Miami Heat got off to just an absolutely sluggish and unimpressive start and trailed by 8 at halftime against the Boston Celtic team, who the common wisdom was figured to be flat coming out of the chute here in the series. They're on the road in Miami. They just played a couple of days ago, a life and death series against the Milwaukee Bucks, concluded with them in a blowout. And then you find out he was suspect, Marcus Smart, for the game, but that Al Horford was also going to be out. Now, I had no suspicion that Horford was going to be out. That turned out to be what? COVID protocol was the reason?
I don't know. It came out of nowhere. And for those of you that didn't know how Horford was still in the NBA, he's actually been a huge part of the Celtics' success in the playoffs. Like he's turned back the clock and been like one of their top 4 or 5 players. So not having Horford and Smart was a huge deal going into that game last night.
Yes, and it did look ugly. for the Miami Heat in the early
Point.
portion of the game. Yeah, they weren't playing well. They were hoisting bricks up there. They gave up 62 points in the first half to a team that was supposed to be dog tired, with the old women weakened legs.
Yep.
Plus, they had flown into Miami after being in Boston. And I don't know, is every team afflicted by the desire? Can you contain your desire to go out when you get to a place? Like, can you stay in Las Vegas when you get there if you're a team that's playing, say, the Las Vegas Golden Knights or now the Las Vegas Raiders? Can you really stay in the night before?
If it's the conference finals, yeah, I think especially this team was there 2 years ago, lost to the Heat. They came out like ready to avenge that loss. Yes. If you're the Grizzlies, I don't know.
Well, an NBA team too. I mean, of all the teams, like football is much more disciplined, I think, in regards to how they travel, because they'll have them stay at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale if they're taking on the Dolphins. So you're probably not going to see these guys jogging around on South Beach on a Saturday night before they play a 1:00 Sunday game in 100-degree temperatures at Hard Rock Stadium. That's unlikely to happen. And then they have all of this kind of militaristic protection against that sort of thing, right? Because there's always the coach, like Carl Tassif was. When he was the Grim Reaper, and he would come and collect the playbooks. But he was also probably the guy that did the bed checks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, you in there? Okay. No, and hockey, they're here in the northern part. If you're not familiar with the territory here, obviously our local listeners know what we're talking about here. But they're not really in the neighborhood of South Beach, where you would think that these hockey players who were coming from Saskatchewan and Saskatoon and all of these other places where they grew up in bitter cold, as if they were ready to go out on the deck and start bringing up crab pots on Deadliest Catch. That's their background. I don't know. I mean, are they going out and partying on South Beach? I would imagine that they party, very hard when they do, but I don't see that happening. It doesn't seem to be a factor with road teams coming in to play the Panthers, who had an excellent home record this year. So maybe there is something to it. But the NBA playing down there where the Heat Arena is, staying in some hotel in Coconut Grove. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the thing is if they're
a natural
near the arena, you're not far from Brickell. You're by downtown. It's not South Beach for the national media that wants to make it South Beach, but it's at least close. It's actually probably like 15 minutes from South Beach. Yeah. So you actually are pretty centrally located to do a lot of things that an NBA coach wouldn't want you to do. I think it depends on the team. I think normally, no. I think if you're James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers, it took everything you had to keep him from fucking finding one of the various spots. This group, I don't know. The Celtics are very organized. They're very disciplined. Jason Tatum literally brings his son up for every freaking press conference. So I don't know if that's what happened. And look, it didn't look like it. It looked like the Heat were at the freaking Tootsies the night before until the third quarter.
Could have been, the Heat could have been putting dollar bills in the stocking of some, attractive young lady at a fancy strip club. But no, that doesn't seem to be, their moniker. I don't know if that's in the Heat culture's DNA to be at strip clubs the night before the game. Udonis Haslem wouldn't stand for it. He would take the guy and just beat the living daylights out of him if he found some. If he found Tyler Hero out on the town the night before the opening round, playoff game against the Celtics.
yeah, UD.
Imagine
South Florida.
I mean, why is he on the roster? He's not on the roster because he's going to see any playing time. I actually took a prop bet. I had to lay like 1,000 to 1 that Udonis Haslem would not see a minute of action in the game. I bet Haslem DNP CD.
Oh my God!
Did not play coach's decision. Imagine if you could make that bet. I mean, you'd be cashing
a lot of money. Because it's every game.
But it's like it's the bridge jumper principle in horse racing, where a guy bets $50,000 to win $2,500 on a horse to show. Maybe it's a 5-horse field. They're allowing show wagering, even though like Secretariat is running in a race, like a tune-up race, just after coming back, maybe off a layoff. I mean, there's no way the horse finishes out of the money, correct? And every now and then, and there was a guy out in California for many years. I was fascinated by his action, as was one of the great handicappers, and this guy was doing the handicapping in the LA Herald Examiner. LA was very big on and prominently featuring horse racing handicapping and horse racing articles because it was a big part of the sports landscape down there. And Gordon Jones, the professor. Gordon Jones, one of the original professors that I've come across. Actually, he was probably the only professor I ever paid any real attention to. Pretty good handicapper for a public handicapper in the newspaper. And, he he was fascinated by the Phantom Plunger. There was a horse out there campaigning who was one of the Triple Crown contenders in the. It was wow. In like 1975, maybe something like that. And there's a horse campaigning called Flying Paster, who had been a prominent contender, was a top-notch 2-year-old, and then comes back for his 3-year-old campaign. And the Phantom Plunger would put either 100 or 50,000 a show on Flying Paster when he was running in these small fields. And one time missed the board. Actually, it wasn't that horse. It was another horse, but he was commonly known, and everybody wanted to know his identity. That was the thing. Like he had built up a reputation, kind of like a guy that who's that artist that Bansky or whatever his name is, or what's the guy's name? Banksy. Yeah, like the guy, and you're going, whoa, when did he do that? Are you kidding me? You come out and the whole bridge looks different. As the guy was there overnight painting with his crew. Yeah. And, so you'd see the money go into the pools there. Spectacular Bid was the horse that Flying Paster was always going against. I was blanking on that. I could picture the horse, the gray there, and Ronnie Franklin and Bud Dell. But and they competed against each other many times. And so they would scare off the rest of the horses in the field. And what were the odds that, like, Flying Paster was not going to hit the board? 0. So this guy would come in, but if you're going to bet that kind of money, like 50,000, what would get you 2,500 back? The horse has to pay $2.10 mandatory to show. So you're getting 10 cents, 5 cents on the dollar. All right. Now, would you put up 100,000 on like a minute and 20-second proposition to win 5,000? Or your obvious logic is if you have the 100, you don't need the 5.
No, that's
it's the thrill, right? I mean, this is James Caan and the Gambler going in and bitch slapping some pimp who, Antonio Fargas, is that the guy's name? Huggy Bear? Antonio Fargas, who had a kid who played for like UCLA or something. And might have been in the pros, Antonio Fargas. Wasn't it the tall guy that was always playing a pimp and that kind of character in any kind of TV show or movie? And in The Gambler, which was filmed...
Fargas, good job by you.
Fargas, was it? Yeah, Fargas, yeah.
You got it. Good job by you.
The memory's scattered, but not totally shot yet.
Pretty impressive. You remember his exact name. I've never heard his name. I know the face. I was like, wow, I know that guy.
Well, he sort of came into focus a little bit because it wasn't that long ago. His son was, I believe, a top running back. I want to say at UCLA. And so you would see, the shot, they'd take a shot of the father in the stands, and it was Antonio Fargas, and you're like, that's Huggy Bear. He has a kid that plays football? You're kidding me. Anyway, he was the guy that James Caan, beat the crap out of there when he was trying to get himself killed because no bet was enough of a thrill to satisfy him, no monetary bet. And, that's kind of what this might have been for the Phantom Plunger, huh? But would you do it? I mean, would you ever consider putting $100,000? You possibly. I mean, come on. Would you ever be in a position where $100,000 meant so little to you that you could afford to, throw it away on a whim?
I don't. You're talking to the wrong guy. I don't throw away anything on a whim. Like to me, you need to get better odds. Andy Mann's talking about some crazy ass bet he made, but at least he was getting the money he's putting out. He was getting back that amount.
You usually want to play into odds that are favorable.
Favorable.
In other words, give me 5 to 1 on this horse.
There's $10,000. Give me $100. Like what?
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, what are you going to do with the stick, man? Give it to the Uber driver that took you home? I mean, what is that? Crazy. But so you would have to imagine if they threw Haslam into the game just to send a message.
I know that would suck.
and you've been cashing these bets all season long because he did get into what? Did he get into 2 games this year, Haslam, or 1?
A couple of times, yeah. When they got up real big, they put him out there. Or like there was some game I think early on. Yeah, that game where
and they had some COVID and stuff where they had to throw him out there because they only had like 6 guys.
Where he got he got like double. It was like the quickest ejection ever in like 5-6 minutes. He got double teed.
Yeah,
he's Haslam.
But in the playoffs, I would imagine you're not going to see Udonis Haslam if they had a prop bet. Will this guy see any action tonight? If he plays 1 minute, you lose. Which you step on the court, you get credit for a minute.
Yes.
So even if they just throw him in there and he was lined up in the. As a guy was taking a free throw, the first of 2, and then they took. I guess you couldn't take him out of the game after the first one missed. But even if he sets foot on the court during regulation playing time, you would lose your bet.
Yeah.
Safe bet, though, no? Huh? Come on, Lubie.
Yes,
Can you bet that? Find out if you can bet that. I'll grab
tell-
$100,000 out of the bank there and put it down on Haslam.
Hey.
DNPCD. And then you're just praying it's not a blowout. Or
Well,
that 3 guys don't get hurt.
Even the hurt, they don't always bring him in. But the blowout, he's one of the guys that everyone chants UD, and like they'll throw him out there so he can go tackle someone, like remind himself that he knows how to tackle people. Like that would be your worst bet. Like last night, they were about to clear the benches before your guy Pritchard hit a freaking ridiculous 3 that neither team cleared the benches after that. That would have been the worst thing for you, because 10 points with a minute left, I could see them throwing UD out just to like give them some run in like the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, it was looking ugly. And then they come out. I mean, Red Auerbach had to be rolling over in his grave watching that.
That was a total antithesis the second half.
My son made an interesting observation. It's an aside here about Luka Doncic, who will be in action tonight against the Warriors. Does he not have some Kevin McHale moves when he's down there in the low post?
Okay, people
he posts up a guy and he starts doing all of that stuff where, and unlike Antetokounmpo, it doesn't appear that he's changing pivot feet 3 times.
No. Giannis gets away with stuff that no one's. I mean, James
Yeah,
Harden.
even Grant Long was saying that the other day. That, and we speculated that if Grant Long was allowed to travel to the level that they liberally give Giannis Antetokounmpo these opportunities, then he would have played another 10 years in the league. And he did go 15 already, right?
Yeah.
He would have been in the league like 25 years. Longer than Haslam, who broke in the 60s, I think. Wasn't Haslam on the expansion heat? I think so.
Close
1988.
Close to it.
Did not play coach's decision. Would you constantly put down $10,000 to win like $100 on that with Haslam?
I mean, no, that's a stupid return. But
The problem is the one time you lose, I mean, you have to win
every time
20 times to make up for one loss. If you're betting 50,000 to win 2,500,
yeah, there's no way.
20 times you would have to win 20 of those bets, and that would only be able to overcome one loss if you won 20 straight. So you pretty much have to hit that every time or you're fucked.
That's why that bet's weird. It's not worth it.
I remember the day the plunger went down on Lemhi Gold, a 5-horse field. It was sloppy at Santa Anita. This horse had run one time. He was going straight from a maiden special weight, trained by the great late Las Barrera. And my buddy and I were at the track, and we got all excited, just like the professor did, because you'll see the money drop into the pool. Like the show pool didn't have that much money in it in a 5-horse field. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you see the pool total go from like, 9,000 to 59,000 in one flash. And you're like, and the whole track would go crazy. He's here. Where is he? They wanted to figure out who this nutbag was that was making these bets. And he was always doing it on Flying Paster, and he was cashing every time. Paster was always in the money.
My good friend.
And then this Lemhi Gold starts in a 5-horse field, okay? And, the other horses were of, not that great distinction. They were also suspect as being at a stakes level. The horse had just run a phenomenal time. He had won his opening race, his first race, first-time starter. He ran like a ridiculous time, like 108-1 for 6 furlongs at Santa Anita, which was a very fast track. I mean, I think the track record might have even been in the 107s for 6 furlongs, where, and that was a shocker to me. When I first came to Florida, the first track I went to was Calder Racecourse, and they run a 6-furlong race, and it went in like 1:15 and change. I was used to seeing these times like they were 7-8 seconds faster as a matter of routine, like in low-level claiming races. And I thought, geez, no wonder I missed this. I misgauged the distance. They must have run like 7 furlongs. But instead, it was just a super, super slow track. So this horse, Lemhi Gold, gets left in the gate. Imagine you got 50 dimes. All he has to do is beat 2 horses in the race. 50 dimes is up, at stake. Horse gets left in the gate and is trailing the field by like 5-6 lengths in the slop, where often you'll see the front runner just jog and go all the way.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to come
all
back.
Right? No, I mean, they come to the stretch, and Lemhi Gold is rolling. I mean, just, it looks like there's no way he's going to miss the board. But all of the other horses, that were behind the leader start coming on at the same time. The leader absolutely croaks, and it's a 4-horse photo on the wire.
Oh, no.
For the win.
No.
For the win. And sure enough, as the story goes, Lemhi Gold finishes 4th, and the guy eats 50 dimes on a rainy Thursday at Santa Anita, whatever the hell that was. Now you have to walk out and try and find your car in a parking lot.
Good luck.
I would imagine a guy with this kind of dough probably had a driver. He sells his car in a parking lot to come back and make another one of these bets. He now has to hit that bet 25 straight times before he's even. When you think about it, that is just massively stupid, is it not?
Your guy, Sheldon G?
Sheldon Glass, yeah.
Crazy ass bets, but to win like 10%, $100,000 to win $4,000. It's like,
yeah.
What? It's like, if you lose, it's just not worth the risk. Like, the winning isn't worth the losing. Like, good for you. You have it. So give it to me. Here, you can just
buy, some
you
stock that you think is a sure thing, huh? Grind out 3%, and
Are you kidding me? Like
residuals, unbelievable.
Yes,
but I love that. I mean, and you would have to be a plunger to go ahead and bet Udonis Haslem not to play. I can't imagine anybody's taking that action. Anyway, he didn't play. He didn't need to play in the second half. Just a disastrous third quarter for the Boston Celtics.
It was
absolutely hideous. I think it was 22-2 to open up the third quarter of the game, and I was thinking, okay, Heat are down 8 here, but they really haven't done much, and let's see what happens here. I expected the Heat to come back in the second half. I didn't expect them to run away and hide in the third quarter like that. But I thought they would come back, maybe chip the lead down to 3 or 2, and maybe even take a small lead, and then play it out in the fourth quarter and play well. They were great stealing the ball. I mean, the Celtics went to sleep in the second half. Every pass was intercepted. Yep. Every dribbler had his pocket picked, and all resulting in layups there during that one big stint that the Heat were on fire. And they were doing it easily, and then they were hitting some circus shots on top of that. And Jimmy Butler, wow.
Okay.
All of these people that say that Jimmy Butler is not a go-to guy, I mean, every analyst will say the same thing. He'll score like 40 points, have 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 block shots, and be involved as a catalyst in every good thing that happens for the Miami Heat, helping to stop runs by making a basket when nobody else is doing anything. I mean, and now in every series, he's had a 40-point game. It's the third series in a row. He puts his name up there in some really illustrious company with like LeBron James, James Harden, of course, when he was good, and he was a guy that was being asked to score like 40, 50 points a game. Butler, was perfectly content to have 16.
Yep.
But wow, I mean, is he on top of his game or what? Like Lubitz.
It's something I guess this era is different. I know than my era, let alone your era, but when I was growing up, it was, yes, you want your stars to score, but if they, because that's why maybe I like Magic Johnson. I guess he wasn't the greatest defender, but like Magic wouldn't always have 30 something, but he would always be the star, because even if he wasn't scoring, they would always say affect the game somehow. And that's the thing with a guy like Devin Booker. He's now going to get lambasted. He shouldn't. The guy's an elite scorer, but if he's not scoring, he doesn't do much else. He's not involved in the game. And that's why I think guys like Butler should get more credit. Don't discredit a Booker. Don't discredit even a Luka. Like, that's their game, and that's the modern day game. But like a guy like Butler should get more credit for even the games he doesn't score. He's involved. Like, he's getting steals. He's defending. He's rebounding. If he's not getting the assist, he's getting a hockey assist.
Making the right pass, yeah. I mean, he always makes the right pass.
He's always out there, and if his team's down, he's never disgruntled. He's never he always has the same face where you saw with PJ Tucker, or you see with a Kyle Lowry. Like, his competitive spirit should get him more credit, but for some reason, they only care about the scoring in this day and age. So like, he gets forgotten. Like, guys like Tatum and all these guys rise up, and it's like, I'll take Butler every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because I know that guy, even when he's not scoring, he's going to give you something. And games like last night, he just gives you everything.
He's going beyond the parameters that you thought he could bring to the table as a member of the Miami Heat. He seemed like a guy that was in need of another premium player that would be one of those superstar types that you were talking about that gets all the acclaim. I mean, this is really old school. We're going to have Tony Segreto on with us in about 20 minutes here on the program. To go old school with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. And this is old school stuff where the guy is well-rounded.
Yes.
And is tenacious at the defensive end and very clever at the defensive end also. and also does things in an extremely timely fashion. He comes up with big defensive plays in key spots. And,
Yes.
turnaround type of plays. He had a steal where he anticipated a pass that set up a layup
Yep.
in that third quarter run. And you thought, wow, now that's good instincts. And, here's a team that's now coasting a little bit, and he's still trying to make those plays. And he had a big block in the corner. So Jimmy Butler, yeah, I mean, he's exceeded anything I could have anticipated him bringing to the table as a member of the Miami Heat, and is not getting the kind of credit that he probably should. Being the accolades that he would deserve for being an extremely, as you said, well-rounded player, but also a guy that's carrying this team offensively on his back.
Well, he does something that LeBron never got enough credit for, and I don't know if he still does to this day. Like, Jimmy Butler trusts in his teammates so wholeheartedly that as a fan, I'll be like, Jimmy, you have the lane. Go. He'll throw a no look and start running to the other end. And I'm like, no, Vincent, no. And Vincent will nail a three. They all cheer, and it's like Jimmy knew so. He does it with Strus, where Strus had the two horrendous games, and Jimmy's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep feeding him. And you could see it builds up his guy's confidence. And LeBron did that all the time. And early in his career, LeBron would get lambasted. But LeBron knew, I'm not going to win without these guys. Like, if Damon Jones isn't hitting threes, or if, these guys aren't hitting shots, it doesn't matter what the hell I do. And like, Jimmy Butler's great at that, where he's like, okay, even when he's on or off, he's like, I don't care. He's like, I'm going to make sure my guys get the ball in good spots, and I'm going to act confident in them no matter what they're doing. And you see it. It's like, what the heck?
I'm laughing because I was picturing Leslie Visser screaming about Jimmy Butler getting virtually every call from the officials last night in what she thought was an atrocious Tim Donaghy-esque type of performance by the Zebras. He does draw a lot of fouls, Jimmy Butler. A lot of fouls. Now, not all of them are getting called in the park, I don't think.
Well, probably not. I mean, he plays a physical brand of basketball. He goes to the hoop, and he gets rewarded for it, which is almost an old school kind of a thing.
He'll give you a forearm shiver like he was Dusty Rhodes, and then fall backwards as he makes a shot. And, here comes the whistle. And I had putting Butler at the stripe also. So I don't know. The officiating wasn't the differential in that game. It was clearly the Heat's amplification of everything that they were doing defensively. And Boston went into just a difficult, abysmal slump there in the third quarter. I don't think they hit more than a couple of shots. They ended up getting outscored like 34-14 or something like that. Yep. And through 6 minutes had 2 points in the quarter. I mean, they opened up the the second half 62-54 in the good, and I'm looking at the clock. It's like, wait a minute, it's 6 minutes to go in the quarter, and they only have 64 points.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
2 points they had, a 22-2 run. So that was the story in that game. Now, I mean, we did talk to many people. A lot of people thought, yes, prohibitive for the Celtics to win game one. They acquitted themselves very well in the first half. You were already, screaming that they should fire Spoelstra, and the game turned out to be not even close, an annihilation, and the final score in that thing was 118-107. So Miami up 1-0. Golden State takes on the improbable Dallas Mavericks, who have survived 2 7-game series, correct? Did they not go 7 with Utah? I think they did. And so,
I guess.
I think they did. Who knows? But nonetheless, 7-game bloodbath in their last series against the number 1 seed in the entire tournament, the Phoenix Suns. Knocked the Suns out, somehow completely stymied their game. I mean, you talk about taking a team out of its element, especially in that game 7, where, they used one of your theories, Lubie, right? The triangle in 2, reverse triangle in 2 defense. Put 3 guys on Booker and let the other 2 guys just bounce off the ropes and try to cover whoever happens to get the ball to hoist up a 3. And it worked as they blew out the Phoenix Suns and now find themselves in the Western Conference Finals. That series gets underway tonight. Nobody's given Dallas much of a chance in this thing. I don't know. What do you think, Lubie? Would it be a big shock if they beat Golden State? Everybody has Golden State now winning the championship. Sean Devaney was on the show with us yesterday. Has Golden State going all the way. And I think, if you asked 100 people that watch or listen to the show, Golden State, in terms of beating Dallas, I would imagine that you would probably get something in the area of like over 90% are thinking. It just, does it not seem like it's already a given in a lot of people's minds that Golden State's going to win this series? So I'll naturally be rooting now for the Dallas Mavericks.
You should. I wonder what odds they're getting, because I don't give them a chance. I think the Warriors, this is where
they're not overwhelming underdogs tonight. I think 4 and a hook is the line. 4 and a hook.
I think this is where the upset Cinderella goes to quote unquote die. I mean, the Warriors are getting better. The Mavs should have lost to the Jazz. If the Jazz didn't have all this infighting, I think the Jazz would have beaten the Mavs in 6 games.
They want Gobert out of there, man. They don't want to see.
They're not happy at all. And then the Suns should have annihilated
Gobert.
Like I don't. Yeah, the Warriors to me should win the series in 5. So if they somehow pull this series out of their rear, to me it's one of the greatest shockers in NBA playoff history.
You know what I can't get used to? I mean, sometimes there's a thing that happens in sports, and you just, like the Chargers becoming the Los Angeles Chargers, right? I mean, it just you're still going to call them the San Diego Chargers. I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon, but and you can't get used to it. I'm having trouble coming to grips with the idea that Dwayne Wade is an influential part as a part owner of Utah.
It's
how incongruous to Dwayne Wade's sort of image and the way that he played and all of that with the movie star, or the a very popular wife, and he's always seen a big fashion conscious guy. What is he doing in Salt Lake City, for God's sake?
Because they offered him the thing that Mickey Harrison didn't, and he was bitter, so he took it. He wanted to be a part owner with the Heat. Harrison, of course, after the fact, like, yeah, sure.
The Mick doesn't need the money, though.
Well, that's the thing, but it's just about, having
respect
there. I'm talking about from a Heat perspective. They want to be
shouldn't they let Dwayne Wade buy a piece? I mean, that seems uncharacteristic of Mickey Harrison to take a hard line on something like that.
Who cares? So that's the thing is that he, I guess, had a weird moment, and him and Wade had a miscommunication. And Wade said, okay, and went with the Jazz.
What piece of the Jazz does he own? I mean, is he a major owner of significance?
No, something stupid. He's not involved in decisions.
Like when John Henry owned 1% of the Yankees, and that was like a big deal.
With the Dolphins or Fergie. Like, I think it's something it's not like Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Like, something similar to that. Like, I think it's like 3 to 5%. I don't know if it's more.
Now, is Jordan the outright owner of the Charlotte Hornets? Outright owner.
The only African-American majority owner in the NBA. I don't know in professional sports, but in the NBA for sure. He's actually he's become the owner of the Hornets.
Okay. But, I didn't know what his role exactly was because I was reading an article about what Utah's going to do now, and they mentioned that Dwayne Wade was going to have some influence in this, and I thought, Dwayne Wade, didn't he buy a piece of that team? But it's hard to get used to, right? Because you'll see Dwayne Wade around, the Miami Heat, and you're thinking, yeah, that's where you belong, Dwayne. You don't belong in some, I don't want to say it's a shithole of a city because I've never been there, but anybody out there? I mean, unless you're a skier, is anybody going to Salt Lake? Yeah, maybe.
No.
More people than where we be going to Cleveland. That's for sure.
Sure, Mormon.
Yeah. Salt Lake City, is that one of your destinations of choice? No casinos, nothing? A lot of Mormon thinking?
Yes.
I don't know that I'm going there. It doesn't sound like Fun City to me, huh? Maybe the mailman had a good time there. That's about it.
It's not.
Seems like the kind of place where John Stockton would enjoy playing, right? Because he fit right in with the Osmonds. Unbelievable.
Exactly.
All right. Old school, Tony Segreto. So it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that last night. Like you were at an Italian restaurant. Hey, what do you want on that? A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, it was sad. The Heat saved the night. I was really excited that Panthers got up 1-0. They were playing aggressive. It's like cool. And then the third period happened, and I was depressed. And then the Heat were down, and then that second half came. I was like, oh, thank God, Jimmy Butler.
I sort of anticipated a turnaround, not to that level by the Miami Heat in the second half of that game. I did not necessarily anticipate the complete collapse of the Florida Panthers in the third period, but that is a hell of a team. I mean, I suppose you could say that about anybody that's left in the second round, maybe, as it narrowed down to the third. That Lightning team, you can't ignore the fact that they won the Cup 2 years in a row. They know what the hell they're doing out there. And I don't know. I guess who's the guy? Point, is he out? Because he got hit hard in Game 7 against the Maple Leafs. Did you see this guy? And he's a key factor for those the Lightning success. And I don't think he was playing last night. This guy Point. I can't recall his first name. I want to say Dave, but it's not. But yeah, he's always a factor, always a big factor. And I think he was out. He got looked like he got kneed in the thigh or something, or. He took a terrible collapse against the boards in the Toronto game, and he tried to come back out. This is the beauty of hockey players, huh? Like the guy completely collapses, has blood dripping from every pore. He looks like Bob Kuchenberg trying to lead a drive for Bob Greasy and the Miami Dolphins when Zonk was running the football after they just rattled off 99 straight, running plays, and they finally pushed it into the end zone. And just bleeding from every pore. And the guy comes right back out on the ice. And you're like, oh, look at that. Goes to the dressing room, as they call it in hockey. They get very sensitive about that for some stupid reason. There's another weird thing in sports. Like if you call, hey, what's the spirit like in a locker room? Some stupid question. The guy will immediately correct you and say, it's a dressing room. You wouldn't figure hockey players would be sensitive about something like that. And then, dressing room, it sounds like you're in Macy's or something, trying on, a prom gown. Now, what are you talking about here, dressing room?
Yeah, who cares?
But, they'll be in the dressing room for like 3 seconds, and then boom, right back out there on the ice. So I'm going to become a Ranger fan again. Speaking of Win Elliott, the great Win Elliott, and my moment of glorious introduction into the broadcasting business. Covered in throw-up, Lubie. Covered in baby vomit.
I think that's about right, though. Like you just plug on.
Isn't that supposed to be a good luck sign? Like the dog pees on your leg or something?
I know a bird shitting on you supposed to be. I don't know about other things.
I don't find that to be any great sign of luck, a bird shitting on.
It's not my dream. I haven't had it often, but the times I've had it, it wasn't a good.
Usually just a mess that you really don't even want to touch because you don't realize like the constitution of bird shit.
It wasn't. Yeah, it's not good.
And that's a good way to introduce the fact that in a couple of minutes we'll be talking to Tony Segreto. How do we get to the constitution of bird shit on this show? We're talking about, maybe these are reflections of the Panthers' third period last night against the Lightning. All right, Hialeah Park. I mean, it wouldn't matter. You have good luck as soon as you walk through the door there at Hialeah Park. You don't have to worry about some vulture over there going, rah, 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 dropping an egg on your head. None of that, because Steve Calabro's in charge of the casino, and he knows how to make it happen in there, and he knows how to make it happen for the patrons, and they couldn't be happier than to see you win. You could sense that vibe there, Lubie, when you were down there, did you not?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like a winning atmosphere at Hialeah Park.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no.
When do you ever go to a casino or a racetrack that has a winning atmosphere?
No, they usually hate it. What do you mean? In Ozark, the Ruthie, in the middle of all the murder and blood, she's keeping track of like the guy playing poker, winning, playing this hand or that hand. It's like,
yeah,
who cares that much? Hialeah's the opposite. They're like, oh, enough people aren't winning. They like freak out. It's like weird.
Yeah, people are walking out of there happy as can be. They're walking in there happy as can be, and you're having a good time while you're there. We have the Preakness coming up on Saturday. It is under consideration, even though there are places where I could wager that are in much closer proximity to where I'm living right now. The way they handle that derby at Hialeah Park, that's the way it should be done, because they know what the horse player needs and what the situation is going to be. And, that there might be a lot of people that really don't understand what they're doing when it comes to betting. And, it was also weird, Lubie. This happened at the place I was at. I would imagine it happened all over the country, all over the world, right? Where in this case, a woman. And this is interesting because Jim Sarney pointed out to me, and I saw an article on it later, that women are applying at a much more rapid rate for sports wagering apps than men are.
That's
women,
cool.
You girls are sending it in.
Nice.
It's a beautiful thing. But you would see a woman with like a pad like this, and she's at the window, and then they become a leaner, like they're leaning, into the window there, and there are 40 people online in front of you, and you're trying to bet like a race that's going off at some other track that has 3 minutes to post. If you're on that line, forget about it. And she's going, I want 2 to show on the on the 4. No, they don't even pronounce their bets. With that kind of efficiency, it's like there's a horse that it says has blue colors.
Yep.
Oh my God. It was for sugar, but they know how to handle it at Hialeah Park, right? The action was fierce and it was intense, and everybody was on their game that day.
It's a good time.
And that's the way they do it. I mean, they have extra people, they have extra machines, and they make sure that you can get your bets in. So the Preakness, which I have my long shot picked out, and not by any kind of normally configured logic, but strictly because my dog's name is Skippy, I have to go with the 9-ball Skippy Longstocking, trained by a local trainer here, Safi Joseph.
Nice.
Right? You might have snuck one in there into the Preakness, right? Steal the money. Maybe you're thinking, Holy King Leatherberry, this guy's going to do it. Anyway, it'd be a great place to punch away. Hialeah Park, just a beautiful spot. We love the people there. You're going to love it there. Great food and drink all over the place, all at very, very reasonable. I mean, by casino standards, huh? I had automatically pulled out a third 20, right? When I gave you that stick to go buy like 3 drinks, I was thinking I was at like a Panther game or something, and then I realized I'm at Hialeah. I could have given Lubie a 20. He could have come back and brought me change. Yeah. And that was at a big event too. They could have been price gouging. It could have been Pam Bondi City, but no, they want to treat the customer right, and it's a beautiful thing. You see how happy Frankie was? It was great to see Frankie feeling that good, right?
Yeah, it was great.
A couple of years ago, he was going through a lot of things, and with the health, and wow, didn't he look like he just polished off 12 rounds with Felix Tito Trinidad?
Like he was getting in the ring. Like he looked great, looked ready to go.
In a bloodbath in Bayamon, and they go, and the winner, and still undefeated from Hialeah Park, Frank, the Fierce One Fiore. That's it. It was a moment of triumph. All right, we're going to come back with Tony Segreto. Speaking of old school, and I don't know what level of interest Tony had. Was he also wagering on these series? I don't think so.
No,
I think he's more of a football bettor.
He was happy to see Mayo go down, even though Mayo.
Yeah, everybody was happy to see Mayo go down. Everybody. I think even Mayo was happy to see himself go down.
He was weirdly okay with all of it, which we were calming him down. He was like calming me down the whole series. I'm like, dude, aren't we? Each other in a bet.
Typically a gambler is upset either way.
Yeah,
even if you win, you go, oh, geez, can you believe this horse only paid $16.40? He was 20-1 when I bet him.
You're always.
You just got all your money back. You were stuck 2 sticks here. You just picked up $3.28 for having 40 to win on a horse, and you're crying. Get out of here. And of course, if you lose, it's everybody's fault but your own.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys are criminals. They're thieves. All right, Skippy Longstocking in the Preakness. I think I'm going to jog down to Hialeah Park and catch it there. Mustang loves the slot machines, and always it's pretty good success. So maybe we can pick a winner in this one. Now, do I come back and back wheel Epicenter after I didn't do it in the Derby? Now, it would not pay anywhere near. I mean, if he runs second, even to the biggest bomb in the field, which I think is being ridden by Kate Bradar's husband's jockey, Florent Giroux.
Nice.
Is on some 50-1 shot. Must be doing a favor for somebody. Or would you just get on any horse? I would imagine, right? If you're a jockey, even if they give you look, this guy got on the biggest pig in the race there in the Kentucky Derby. He wasn't even supposed to be in the field. This Sonny Leone, who does sound like some kind of mob hitman, doesn't he?
It's a mob guy. Yeah, it's a guy that definitely is connected.
Watch out. Sonny Leone's in the neighborhood. Says the big man's not too happy with some of the things you've been saying about the family here. You're like, what? What big man? Who's Sonny Leone? He's in town? All right, speaking of being in town, old school, Tony Segreto coming up next here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with more coming on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:02.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going?
All right, welcome back to the show. Always good to be with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie. Lubitz, the Defo Show, and every Wednesday we love going old school with an old school type of guy, Tony Segreto. Well, it's great. You encompass much, if not the entire history of South Florida sports here. As you were, a longtime sportscaster, became a newscaster, number one guy there, mowed them all down, right? Rennick was nothing after Segreto took the anchor chair. And Bishop, she cowered in fear and slept in the fetal position every night, thinking he's ruining my career. He's going to drive me out of the business. But, and not by intention, because the nicest guy in the world. We welcome Tony Segreto for a little old school here on the Defo Show. Tony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's a beautiful day. Look at it. Both of you had your ears lowered. I can't look at these haircuts on the both of you. My goodness me. You look like you shaved 20 years off yourself there.
It's funny.
Looks like he's 12.
I came up with a product here that I think might have some success, because I've been shaving with these real cheapo Costco plastic razors. The wife went in there, the Mustang went to Costco. I needed razors, so I have like 400 of these.
Yeah,
you can't buy them in any smaller commodity, right?
I gotcha.
I have like $4,000 worth of razors or whatever it is.
You're willing them to your great grandchildren.
Exactly.
But I mean, they should come, with a cut man. These razors, like Jacob Stitch Duran. His picture is on the package, and he's working on like Sugar Ray Leonard's eyeball, there when he was in the Hearns fight.
You mean they don't come with that stick that you can?
No, and I'm like, I'm Chuck Wepner when it comes to shaving. I am the Bayonne bleeder, my friend. So, and you can always feel it with the cheapo razor when you nick a spot, and then you're going to be bleeding all the way to your destination. And you can't. There's nothing you can do. You got that little piece.
And you're wearing a white shirt.
Yeah, and you're trying to drive. Yeah, and people think like, who are you, Ray Donovan? You show up just, very calmly with blood all over your shirt. And you're, at the door here, what, to deliver flowers? Get out of here. Anyway, all right, a lot of things going on, Tony Segreto, and I didn't want to
finish the story. Did you get new razors, or are you still with the cheapos?
No, I still have these. Look, I'm going to use them. I don't want to say anything disparaging about my ethnic background, but that would be an assertion that people would make, that I was too cheap to throw them away.
I finally gave in, because I was the same way. No matter what I did, no matter how I conditioned my face or whatever the case might be, I would wind up cutting myself somewhere along the way. So I finally just said, I'm spending whatever it is on razors and shaving cream. I just went out and bought an electric razor, and now I'm good to go. I just take it with me everywhere I go.
If the company was responsible, though, they would send Stitch Duran to your house. and just have them there with like a bunch of cotton swabs and some Vaseline, and, some Enswell and a little adrenaline that he could put there, and at least get you like you were Arturo Gatti to the next round or something. Many things happening, but Tony, I know you probably want to start with the draw for the women's softball tournament. I don't know. Do you want to begin there, or you want to start with like the big stuff?
We don't need to. I know there's not many people interested, but I'm obviously we're excited as a family. Especially, even though my daughter's now graduated, she's still very much involved, and looking forward to it. But I saw a bunch of people from the University of Florida yesterday. They saw me, and they're all excited about what they do in Gatorland, and it's going to be a great weekend for me. Listen, last night was like, I was obviously not happy about what happened with the Panthers, but watching the Heat turn around like they did. And but as soon as the Panthers took the lead, I texted Lubie, and I go, Is there a restaurant that serves crow here that we can take Mayo to when the Panthers ultimately win?
Mayo's a whole other story. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And then he goes, well, he's been pretty nice. I go, well, he kind of has to be nice now. What is he going to do? Still be that cranky, for goodness sake?
He's lost his identity to this whole bet. He doesn't even know who he is anymore. That's I mean, he's sitting in the corner of some burger joint reading Albert Camus. That's where he's gone.
He's reading Cody. He's reading Greg Cody. That's what
I mean, at least a laughter. But he's fallen into some kind of bizarre Twilight Zone-ish type of depression here, where he can't figure out if he's coming or going. He's secretly rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning to sweep the Panthers in this series, and then at the same time he says, "Oh no, and now I want them to go all the way."
Yeah.
What
I
is
will
that?
tell you
Come on.
though, I will tell you, a bunch of people said to me yesterday, like, "What are you going to do? What are you going to watch?" I go, "Well, it's pretty easy. I mean, the Panthers start at 7:00 for goodness'
Yeah.
sake, and by the time that game's over, we're still in the second quarter of the basketball game." And man, that second period last night, they could not. The Panthers had all these chances on these power plays, and they just, I mean, and there's a traffic jam in front of the net, and they just can't get the darn puck in. And meantime, Tampa Bay,
and when they do, there's a challenge and they lose the goal. And
I mean that challenge after the second goal. I mean,
I guess it was legit. I mean, nobody was really.
No one was bitching.
It was clearly out. It was clearly out.
But here's the thing: you regardless of how the call went, you're swimming upstream the entire game. I mean, it's like walking up an escalator that's going down, and you finally get a goal that's going to tie this game, that may flip the momentum and give you something to really go the last 7 minutes of the game, and then you get deflated by that call. Then all of a sudden, then it was just a cascade of goals by Tampa Bay, and that was it. Yeah, it was too bad, but it was fun to watch, boy. I tell you what, that arena. The energy in that arena, and for the Heat too. I was trying to think when the last time was that we had two playoff games in the same night at home, starting within 2.5 hours of each other. What a great night!
I thought it was unprecedented, but I don't believe it was. And there may have been a time also. Is it possible that there was? And you mentioned at approximately the same time these games are starting that there was like a Panther playoff game in the afternoon and later at night, like a Heat game. That might have happened. But Mike Mayo actually said that, this has happened before. And you'd be a good one. I was going to ask you. I mean, I thought it might have been unprecedented, to have two home games in the playoffs with both the Panthers and the Heat on the same night.
And game ones and two, where the anticipation is game one. It's game one. Everybody's excited.
Yeah.
You got this, and you've got two teams. The perfect storylines. I mean, game one, 2.5 hours in each other, both nationally televised, and then you're bringing in teams that have a history, right? Even though Tampa Bay, you think, what kind of history? Well, they're back-to-back Stanley Cup winners,
and they won a Stanley Cup prior to that with Barry Melrose.
And then prior to that, and then you've got the Celtics, who may be other than the Yankees, probably the most storied professional franchise in terms of historical. I mean, think about you got Bill Russell and Babe Ruth, and go from there. You got Garrett,
certainly
right?
among the most recognizable sports franchises in the world, the Boston Celtics, no question.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought it was like just a perfect storm, and both arenas packed.
Yep.
And both arenas, either they were in their white or they were in their red. I mean, I thought it was just fantastic and a great showcase for South Florida. Really great showcase for South Florida.
You know this about South Florida, Tony, having been here so many years. And, I've been immersed with fans and players and owners and executives and league, big shots. That no fan base can turn sour and go south and become indifferent quicker than the South Florida fan base. Now, if the Panthers lose this next game,
it's done.
The ratings in South Florida for Game 3 of that series against the Lightning will be Blutarski, my friend. Big, fat, round numbers with a period in between them, 0.0. It's going to look like some kind of pornographic drawing if you just added a couple of things in there.
Listen. You remember when you
look like an Andy Warhol sketch, my friend.
Yeah, you know what I compare it to? Remember when you were a child and you would hear the ice cream truck with the bell.
I heard one just the other day as I was doing my walk of life.
Me too. Yeah. Coming down the road, and you look, and there you have the neighborhood children just running after that ice cream truck. All right, okay. Now fast forward, just make that ice cream truck a bandwagon, and it's coming down the streets, and you got people with the Panthers and the Heat. Come on, take me now.
Yeah, I still feel guilty about stealing a box of toasted almond pops from the Good Humor Man. As a kid, this was not uncommon, and we were big at the art of deception as kids in Brooklyn, especially when it came to ice cream men. and also the display of blazing sirens to get traffic to separate in the streets. As we had those things, those chain sirens that you put on your bicycle, and they literally sounded like a fire truck or a cop was, bearing down the street there. And the cars would literally in New York, where there's no courtesy, they just pull to the side there and then see two schmucks on a bicycle.
So let me ask you this: since this is
we used to distract. I was going to say we used to distract the good humor guy, and one of the things, and this was another thing done by the ringleader of our little group of kids there, Richie D'Angelo, a very clever Italian kid who, had kind of a Fonzie presence to him. And he said, if we could get the guy to come around to the back, then he would go in and pump the gas pedal many, many times and flood the engine so the guy wouldn't be able to take off right away. And then at that point, we would open up, the side door and take out either the banana splits or the toasted almond pops, which I thought were the two best. I mean, did you have a favorite good humor?
That's what I was going to ask you. I remember
banana split was always royalty to me.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the good humor bars, but I also love the. Now, when you talked about the banana pop,
toasted almond pop, it had
that was
almond.
That was the cone. Yeah, that was
covering
the cone, right?
on the. Yeah, no, it was on a stick.
Oh, this was on a stick.
And it was called
Mine
the toasted
was on
almond pop,
the
and they were great. I used to buy them all the time. Had kind of a coconut thing going on it too.
Yeah.
No,
Lubie,
very, very good.
Well, I like the chocolate eclair, the strawberry shortcake. I don't know.
Oh, chocolate eclair was good too.
Yeah, chocolate eclair is great.
That sounds great. I never had either.
So do you ever?
How about the July 4th? Wasn't there a July 4th that had a combination of everything? You'd be out of school for 3 weeks with a stomach virus after having one of those things.
Do you ever go past? Do you ever see those ice creams and it brings back memories? And you go, I think I'm going to go grab one.
Everybody thinks it's like a pedophile truck, though. Now the guy driving, and so I have a tendency when I see this one guy, he comes up Briny Avenue. When I'm on my walk, and it's got that music, and you're thinking, I wonder if this guy goes home at night, and that's all he's got in his head is this stupid clown music that's playing. It actually sounds like you're at a cheesy casino outside of Reno. And you're listening to the music.
It sounds like you're at a cheesy
slot machines are making.
maybe that's being redundant.
But there are no kids. I mean, around here, everybody's in their hundreds that lives by the ocean.
Around where I am, there's a bunch of kids, and they're so excited. And they're running with their dogs. I mean, it's great. And I'm tempted. I'm tempted myself to flag the driver down because there's something you want.
But you can name, here we are 50, 60 years later, Tony, and you can name off certain ice creams that were standards. And now, I mean, they have all this Fugazi stuff there. I mean, what is it? Do you think these kids of today are 50 years later going to be doing a podcast or whatever form of communication is popular at the time? Probably just interbrainal communication, where you don't even have to speak anymore. You're just wired up to other people. But will they remember what they had at the ice cream wagon? No, because they're all different. I mean, it's very schmanky the way it's arranged now.
But we'll talk sports in a second, but I do have to share this with you. So
yes,
in Vermont, as you can imagine, since it's the home of Ben and Jerry's, ice cream, ice cream is huge.
Oh, yes.
Ice cream stands, people running to get it. But
it's freezing, which is great.
Yeah, but the really big thing is when we're at the end of when we're entering summer, spring is almost done or summer is just beginning to start. The big thing is a maple creamy, and creamies
creamy.
Yeah, so creamies up in New England are soft serve. That's the soft serve ice cream.
Okay.
Right? So I'm in Burlington, Vermont, and I needed to catch an early morning flight the next day to Denver. This was last week, and I'm staying at this hotel, and I'm looking, and right next to my hotel, I mean, I may as well be in Happy Days because remember the diner in Happy Days?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay, so I'm literally next door to this diner. It's called Al's. Yeah, it's called Al's Fries and Ice Cream.
Oh,
and then big neon lights. And I'm going, wow, what is this? I just naturally look it up, right? And it's this place that's been around since like the late 30s.
Nice.
And it's like legendary. Then I asked the guy at the front desk, I go, what is about this place? He goes, people come around from all over the place to get the ice cream and the fries. They're like amazing. So I go, well, I got to go. So I'm looking, and the fries, to get fries was like crazy. I'm not going to wait in line for an hour.
For French fries, I mean, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it was crazy.
Where are we? Coney Island? You're in Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah. Anyway, I am standing. I go to stand in line for ice cream. And literally within the 5 minutes that I'm standing there, we must have 35 people coming up for ice cream. And they all were in line talking about they're getting their first maple creamy of the year. I mean, it was incredible.
Wow,
It was,
it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah, it was absolutely remarkable, and certainly worth the wait for the ice cream. But you think about those great moments. You know, it no matter how old you are, when you're standing in line for an ice cream, you feel like you're 12 again.
Like
You feel like you're 10 or whatever. It's just
I'd rather be
it's a
standing in
wonderful
line
moment
and
of
cash a ticket at the track, which I had to do on Kentucky Derby Day.
Yeah, well,
And the
I did
amateurs were
not,
out, Tony. The amateurs were out. I mean, I wish I had spent the whole day at Hialeah because
you're in trouble with your online betting source when they call to when they email you to congratulate you for joining up, not because you won.
No. Would you like to take advantage of that $100 free offer that we were giving you?
Don't forget the Preakness is coming up. Don't forget, place your bet. So
I have your horse, Tony, named after my dog, Skippy Longstocking. Yeah. Skippy's my dog, and he's 20-1 morning line. Safi Joseph, local trainer here.
Snappy.
Know nothing about the horse other than the name, and didn't even know he was running or a Triple Crown type of contender.
Listen, it's basically, the Preakness. What you love about the Triple Crown, I think a lot of people lose sight of it. And as horse players, as you and I, you certainly more than me, but I love the horses. These races offer so many different aspects in terms of how they're run and the type of track they're going to be on. And when you look at the Preakness, it's basically a sprint compared to the other two. Right, you got the. Belmont
I don't know if I would say that. I mean, it's a 16th of a mile shorter.
It is. It's shorter, and it's got one turn compared to what, two for the Derby?
No, they go two turns at Pimlico, mile and 3/16. Yes,
I just
turns are supposedly tighter and speed favoring. Although I don't know if that still holds true. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, and I just don't know if that plays a role anymore. But anyway, I'm excited about this one. I wonder. I was looking at the field. I'm wondering how many people are now just going to go long shot, and the favorite's not going to have. I mean, I'm sure the favorite will get play, but I don't think maybe not as much as it normally would after last 2 weeks ago.
Don't talk to me about the favorite, Tony, please. I mean, Lubie had to listen to me fetching because I mean, this is dumber than when I didn't bet Meshuggah that day in the 7-5 exact. I mean. And I'm thinking about it on the way down to Hialeah. I already had action on the Derby, and I had completely left Epicenter out of my various mathematical permutations that I had made to try and hit for a big score. Okay, so and we were on a different long shot, Barber Road, who didn't run badly, but what was not a menacing factor when it came to threatening the horses that finished 1, 2, 3, and I'm thinking, geez, everybody's talking about Epicenter. What am I missing here?
Yeah. No
one. Horch had run, and acquitted himself very well. And I mean, everybody knows this about me. I back wheel the favorite is my first premonition. If I just am too lazy to handicap the race, or I think it's wide open, like something like the Derby always is.
That's what I did.
And I thought about doing it, right? So I thought about putting Epicenter second with everybody. And for $1, it would have cost me $19. I lost out on 2,000. So don't talk to me about it, Tony. No, listen, I'm fetching about it. I mean, I'm over it, but at the same time,
you're not.
I want to come back and do it again. And of course, it'll never work again. So any money that's spent in that area, Epicenter probably jogs in this race.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and you're going to have to pick 2 bombs for second and third.
Well, I did the same thing with Epicenter. I picked him set to finish second, and I picked him to finish third. I will tell you this: we went to the Belmont one year. And it was a whole day plan, like, Belmont, then Peter Luger's afterwards, the whole, just like the perfect race day.
Yeah.
And for the big race, I back wheeled the favorite like you do. And my wife, she goes, she's long shot Betty, man. She just goes long shot. And she got the long shot, and, she cashed, I don't know, $700-800.
Nice.
And it was enough for cocktails and appetizers.
Enough to get you in the door there once you took care of the maitre d'.
Yeah.
several other
And-
people on your
and
way
at
through the kitchen. Yeah.
And at the time, at Peter Luger's cash only still. So it was.
I like
worked
cash
out.
only as a
Yeah,
policy. I
it
really
worked
do.
out well. It
Although,
worked out
people,
well.
no one carries any cash
I
anymore,
was gonna
right?
say,
No.
Remember,
No.
you would never leave the house with like $2 in your wallet in case you needed
Ever.
gas or something. And now, it's not uncommon to just look in there and say, "Oh, geez, nothing." Well, that was the case for me after the Derby, because, and then I had the unfortunate, and we're all fueled by self sabotage if you're in the degenerate, area of life, and that was it, right? I thought
Yeah.
about it. I was going to do it. I didn't do it. It cost me 2 times. So, and then it would
And
have
you're
got me
still, and
through
you're
the
still,
Triple Crown.
in your words, you're still kvetching about it. Then as you're kvetching, you're going, "That doesn't bother me anymore." But you're
Oh
still.
yeah, for sure.
No, but it's just so blatantly stupid. It's kind of like if you looked at even that last series with the Heat and the 76ers, you could sort of sense that something was up with the 76ers as the series was progressing, even though they won games 3 and 4. And, a smart guy would have said, hey, look, the Heat still remain unbeaten at home in the playoffs. Now 7-0 in home games in the postseason. And that includes, Atlanta and Philadelphia, and now Boston. And if you parlayed those 2 games, that would have been a smart sports bet, no? Because
Yeah.
once they won
Yeah.
Game 5, they were clearly going to win Game 6, or so it seemed. And then, once again, some sports management executive board is going to say, we'd like to bring Doc Rivers back as our coach. What happens to these people? Did they not watch what transpired there? This guy lost them any chance they had of being in the postseason with a dumb
Yeah, but
coaching
there's a
move.
lot of spins. There's a lot of spins. We got this guy out, this guy out. This didn't work. That didn't work.
Yeah, I know. He had many, many excuses, but you could see that Joel Embiid was finished, and James Harden. My God, he probably cost himself.
Yep.
Is somebody going to be dumb enough to pay this guy like $120 million
I don't
across a
know,
few
man.
years? That
God
seems
bless
like
him.
a stretch. Wow.
Man, when he was hot, there was nothing like him. But boy, he was just a skeleton of himself.
He did. He looked like that. Doc Rivers could have done a better job, I think, out there.
He looked tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have brought Mark Jackson, a bloated Mark Jackson, back and put him in that spot. All right,
Anyway.
Tony, Texas Roadhouse. Speaking of great places to eat, and you mentioned Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, and he's always coming up with fine restaurant ideas. And he is a fan, by the way, of Texas Roadhouse. He's not a big chain restaurant guy. I mean, because he's used to these. Yeah. I mean, he likes all kinds of stuff, but he realizes, and I have great respect. There are a few well-run chain restaurants that you go to, and they're consistent throughout the country, and you know what to expect, and that's a big part of it. That level of high quality consistency, and I don't know that anybody really does it better than Texas Roadhouse in the restaurant.
I don't
business.
either. I mean, I think that you're right. There are certain restaurants that are considered chains that you go, okay, I know if I go to X restaurant, I'm going to get this sort of quality. I'm going to get this sort of, and chances are that even the restaurants are laid out the same. Texas Roadhouse is one of those. In fact, there's a Texas Roadhouse in Burlington, Vermont, and I passed it specifically to see because I had dinner plans that evening I was going to someone's home, and there was the same thing, line outside, line wrapped around, busy as all get out, kind of same setup, people waiting at the door, people, coming up, they had their phones with their apps out, you could tell. And I think that's just the way it is, no matter where you go in the country. Think about a lot of people don't think that Texas Roadhouse is this big chain, but it is. There are over 625 restaurants around the country, and every single one of them does it the same way, with the same style and the same culture. That's what makes them, in the terms of employee engagement, like all these numbers, all these HR people do this. Texas Roadhouse is at the top, one of the top 5 restaurant chains in the country when it comes to their culture and how they treat their people. And it's testimony to what happened when the pandemic hit, how everybody was employed, they kept paying everybody, and they were able to pivot to be able to create a brand new business as a result of that pandemic. But let's talk about it now.
The founder CEO guy came off as one of the original heroes of the COVID-19 pandemic when he said, hey, you know what? I'm making like $400,000 a year in salary. That's all going to my employees to help them out.
Absolutely. It's incredible. But, they're consistent with their food. All the restaurants make 99% of the food at every Texas Roadhouse restaurant is prepared there in that restaurant. It's not shipped in. They have butchers at every single restaurant cutting their meat. They have people making that fresh bread every single day from scratch. They make all of their dressings for their salads. Their people are hired by character and the ability to engage not just with the employee, with the customer, but with other employees, and make sure that the work environment is good. And what that does is it helps you when you go to that restaurant, because you feel welcome. You feel like you're going to Cheers. It could be the first time you're at that restaurant and you feel like Norm. You could be the 20th time and you still feel like Norm. So all I'm telling you is, if you're looking for a place to eat, and I say that in the recorded commercial, like, where are we going to eat tonight? Texas Roadhouse. I mean, there's no sticker shock. The price is reasonable. The food is consistently great. You're going to have fun. You could be by yourself. You could be with your partner. You could be with your family and your children, and everybody's going to have a good time. And I'm telling you, if you're on a low-carb diet, screw it.
Me, a roll.
Yeah, maybe not the place to go. I mean, you could get by there.
No, when you go there, you want to just
roll.
plan it.
Yeah.
Because you have
I'm shoveling that bread in my face right at the start. Yeah.
You have one of those rolls, you're going to have three of them. Yeah. You know me, I'm the odd-numbered guy. So if I have one, I've got to have three. Right? If I have one,
So
you
good,
got to have a couple, three. Yeah.
No, that's a nice thing too, because bread service has become debatable at some places. Some places are actually charging you for it. You're waiting around for like a half an hour, and it's like, hey, comes with some bread here, and they go, oh no, that's not offered here.
Yeah, where's the waiter?
So that's real nice, man. They slap that right on the table, and it's hot out of the oven, just fantastic. All right, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, proud sponsors, and always special regards to our good friend Ed Garcia, who makes it happen all over the country, man. This guy's busy too, huh? And you talk about an ambassador for the brand. I mean, he certainly is every bit of that, and represents the whole Texas Roadhouse southeastern region here with great dignity and class. So we love you, Ed Garcia, and thanks for your support of the program. All right, coming back with more Old School with Tony Segreto. There are many things happening, Tony, and all kinds of different sporting fronts. An absolutely fascinating time of the year here, and a lot of different sports stories being written. And,
how about women's basketball? I mean, women's soccer today, huh? Great,
there you got me, Tony. I was willing to go into like even as low as the Charlo fight.
No, they finally got what they wanted. They're gonna, equal pay. They're getting paid the same exact amount of money.
They should be making more money than the men. The U.S.
People actually care about them more than the men. That's the one sport.
No one watches the men. Do they even have a U.S. team? I don't know who's on it. Remember that one guy got like a Lexus commercial. He was in the MLS for a couple of years. Forget who he was. Nothing special. It wasn't like you were watching Ronaldo or something. And what do I know about this though? Nothing. So I'm glad for the gals though. They deserved it. Going all the way back to that Mia Hamm team. When who was the woman? They definitely deserve it. That broke up in her top there and had the sports bra on. She was great. Brandy, was it Chastain? Was that
maybe? Yeah.
Did you know Jane Chastain, by the way?
Very well.
Now, what was the story? She was like the original sportscaster on TV as an anchor.
Yeah, she's great, man. I still speak with her. She's in California, and just a delight, an absolute delight. But I'm so happy for them. Listen, ESPN, and this would be the one thing, because I know you kind of roll your eyes when I bring it up, but ESPN would not invest the time and the energy and the amount of money that they're putting into when the NCAA softball tournament starts on Friday. They would not be doing that.
No, they air the crap out of it. There's something going on with it. It's on TV more than anything. It's like 24/7.
A lot of games, man. No question.
Because their ratings are through the roof. It's remarkable. I got friends of mine that really had never been fans, and obviously because of Sam and her playing, and then going to Florida State, they have become like fans. I got asked yesterday by 2 or 3 people who I would never ever have expected to hear from, going, "Hey, are you going to watch the regionals when they start?"
Oh, you'll be watching, Tony. Come on.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Will you be going?
We're gonna have a watch party. We're all gonna have a FaceTime watch party.
Hey, it's great. You know what? We were acknowledging though, and I've been saying this, like the girls in tennis as we head towards the French Open on Sunday. It begins. and you have some qualifying matches going on right now. They are bringing it, man. I mean, they are playing a brand of tennis that is highly entertaining to watch, and maybe even more relatable to like the recreational players game, although not really at all anymore. And I mentioned, I used to see like Osaka practicing at the Pompano Municipal Park when she was like 14, and then you watch the level that and it goes like 100 deep. Of these women that are really just bringing it to the table every time they compete.
And now I'm sorry, but
I was going to say in softball, as a guy that loved baseball as a kid, and you still fantasize about plays that you might have made, and you remember making some great catch when you were a kid in a ball game or whatever. But the fielding level and expertise of the women's softball players, as compared to what I remember, women being capable of, because there was only like maybe one girl that was even playing, around guys, and she would try to get into the game there very sheepishly. If you needed somebody, you'd let her in, and then she'd acquit herself very well. But the fielding is spectacular. The women have grown exponentially when it comes to their skills on the baseball diamond. That's for sure.
If you're a fan of great defense in baseball, like what you just said, if you are a fan of that, then tune in. Florida State, where Sam was, has the number one defensive team in all of college softball. They pull off double plays like the old Yankees with Richardson and Kubek and Skowron. They're flipping things around like you're going, my, and they're doing it on a small field.
Yeah, the double play is not easy to execute.
I gotta say, a double play in softball.
A chopper to short is like dangerous in softball. It really is. Is it?
It is. The whole thing is, when you got a pitcher bringing in at 69, 70 miles an hour, that's tantamount to 100+ mile per hour fastball
30
in baseball.
Oh, they're right on top of these.
And you're throwing it from 53 feet away. It's like,
and then they hit home runs, which is even more amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like you have any number of really accomplished power hitters, and it's not just the big hulking girl like Crystal Bustos, one of my favorites there, who literally looked like Gorilla Monsoon with a bat in her hand. In terms of size, Tony, she's a very attractive and very accomplished young lady. But does she still hold? No, she doesn't hold a record though for college home runs. Bustos, but she was great. She was always on those Olympic teams and just crushed the ball, man. Looked like
University of Oklahoma's team, they just keep breaking all those records.
Yeah.
They just keep flying.
Should there be a size limit on the Oklahoma?
There should be a distance. There should be a distance difference.
Shouldn't they move the fences out? As these girls come to the plate. All right.
I don't know. It's going to be fun. All I know is we enjoy it. The family. It's been a part of our family, and I think that I will tell you this. It's a shame. It's just a darn shame that because the University of Miami just doesn't have enough geographical space to provide a facility for a woman's basketball.
This Ruiz cat couldn't build a softball field somewhere over there. This guy Ruiz or whatever, Chico Ruiz, the guy that's funding all of these players.
Yeah, I don't. It's a shame.
Has to be legitimate.
All
right.
It's been. I don't know. How many charlatans?
They could clear out some softball field somewhere, and I see softball fields when you're flying into Fort Lauderdale. You're looking down at these lit fields, nobody's on them, and you're thinking, look at that. How could you let a field that was that perfectly, manicured go to waste on a perfectly beautiful night out here in New York? That would never happen.
I know for years they have discussed it. I know for years, and
it would be big there, wouldn't it?
It would be huge, really big. And listen, I tip my hat to our baseball team at UM. It's I still I'm a Ron Frazier guy, and my history goes back, as you well know, Defo and you too, to the great UM baseball days. And now it looks like we're back, and to see what Radakovich is doing and what his plans are, and to we talked about this every week. The excitement out at UM, I'm excited. So
I hope it becomes something that actually gets some level of fulfillment, because
I think that it's
that would be nice.
I am really I'm honestly convinced that it will.
All right, I hope so, because I naturally have a great affinity for all things having been like you immersed in the programs there for many, many years while toiling at various radio stations here in town. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto, and we'll continue old school on through 9 o'clock on the East Coast here. And glad you guys are tuned in on Ion Channel. Mike Lubie Lubitz, Tony Segreto, old school with Tony Segreto, also brought to you by Catholic Health Services. We'll tell you more about them in just a moment, and we'll be back with more of Tony in a moment. Now that. 8:38. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
One thing I noticed, a big disparity. I mean, the Florida State players look waif-like. This is kind of like watching the Oklahoma Sooners football team come in for their tune-up game, their cupcake game on the schedule against Ohio Wesleyan. And you look at the offensive line of Oklahoma, and you wonder how anybody's going to get around them. There is a distinct size differential in the girls on the Oklahoma team versus those on Florida State.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use football as the analogy. I'm going to say that they all look like Dave Kingman. You know, they're all like 6 feet tall. It's remarkable. There's a couple of girls who are probably 5'5", 5'4", 5'6", but I would say a good.
But they're like 240, yeah.
Is 6 feet tall, and man, and when you look at their numbers, they're gaudy. I mean, 406, 425, 32 home runs, 27 home runs. Even the ninth hitter in the lineup has got like 18 home runs this year.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, and every Wednesday, 8 to 9 o'clock. And, occasionally we have to switch a few things up to accommodate Tony's busy travel schedule, but we routinely go old school. I would say about 48 weeks a year, 8 to 9 Wednesdays here with the great Tony Segreto. And so many different things happening. I was just, you might have seen me texting there as that brief shot came up, and I'm very, very upset with spell check on any kind of text or message that you send out, because I'm writing a bunch of nondescript European schmenk names to put my 2 entries in for the PGA pool that's coming up. And the entries have to be in today. So I'm texting the 2 entries. We have a collective one that John Kajemi picked. And believe it or not, he has, and the way this works, Tony, I've explained it before, but people probably are thinking, hey, what the hell are you talking about, you stupid betting for? But it's a fascinating pool to be in, and one of the best I've been in, these golf pools. You have 7 lists of players that maybe run, I guess, usually like a dozen deep. All right. Okay. And, they're grouped so that there's no way you can pick like, the top 5 in the world in order. You're going to have to make some choices. Like you're going to have to decide, are you going with like Dustin Johnson or Spieth or Justin Thomas, and they'll be on one list. So you have to pick one of those guys. And then the other lists are also appropriated. So you have guys of sort of similar stature, and you have to make a lot of choices. Plus, it's arbitrary, right? I mean, the guy gets hot, some guy that you never heard of, you have to take some shots here. You can't just go with the popular guys. So I'm texting all of these European names that Kajemi picked out, and we have a collective entry with Lubie, and we'll put you in for a piece if we hit this thing, because the payoffs are good. And then I'm putting an entry on my own. And Kangemi, who knows golf, John is like a scratch golfer.
He's really,
And he follows the game, and anytime he's on, and he's going to join us again on Monday. He's had a little hiatus there working, and he took Tiger Woods to be off of the list, and I don't know who else was on that list, but there were many other choices besides Tiger Woods. And here's Woods now, and Lubie's buying all the rhetoric. And I don't know if you remember this when Muhammad Ali fought Larry Holmes.
Yeah, I do.
All of a sudden, a ton of money went in. It was one of the bigger bets I made at the time in my life because all of this money came in on Ali because they had a picture of him, and he had been bloated and a shell of himself for a little while now. Freddie Pacheco was begging him to retire and not take this fight. Everybody was saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. And Holmes was still, very good, very much at or near the top of his game. And Holmes goes off as a 6-5 underdog. To Muhammad Ali, a shot guy, because they had a picture of him in a newspaper, and he had taken his thyroid medication that had slimmed him down. So, he didn't look like, the returning George Foreman, like a big fat guy coming in there. And people actually believed Ali, who offered zero resistance. I mean, it was one of the worst. You're screaming at the ref to stop the fight from like the opening minute of the first round. And Holmes himself is begging the referee, Please stop it. I don't want to do this to this man. But like everybody was buffaloed by the picture that was in the paper of Ali, and it turned out to be. I mean, how do you not take Larry Holmes as an underdog in this fight? And with Tiger Woods now, Lubie's buying it.
I'm not buying it.
He's stronger.
Well, first of all, can you continue this? I just want to know this. So you have 7 lists, and you get to pick
one guy off each list.
One guy. I love that.
And then you get the cumulative score. Idea. All right. And so, the first mission is to have everybody make the cut. Obviously you want to have some contenders, but it's especially punitive. It can be. Well, if you have 1 or 2 guys make the cut, you're probably not going to finish in the money. Don't make the cut.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, you get +3 for each day that a guy misses the cut.
You're pretty much in it the whole way.
No, not necessarily. I mean, the key is to be in it after the second round, and you have to do well in the first round also.
And what do you put into it? How much do you put into
it's like $50 an entry. So, it's going to cost me $100 to put these 2 entries in. And the first one I was in, though, I cashed for like $2,000. I did very well. And it was one of the most fascinating days of following golf that I ever spent. And I was watching wherever I could find it, some obscure streaming service.
Who does Kangemi run it? Is it his?
No. Kangemi is not a degenerate sicko. But we figured he knew golf, so he's making selections for us. I even put up the dough on this one, for the entry. Because I want Lubie to follow this stuff and start getting into it. But it's fascinating. I mean, every putt is of giant significance.
Absolutely.
From the opening round on, from the very first round.
I gotta get a hold of Johnny C. That's one thing I'd love to get involved. I love that stuff.
All right, I'll send you the sheet there, Tony.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, yeah, we have to get these entries in today. Now, what do you think about this Tiger returning story? Which, once again, even if he shoots 87 in the first round, it looks like demented Arnie Palmer being dragged around the Masters course for the opening round back in the day.
Listen, this is something unlike Ali. Tiger takes care of himself. I think Tiger wants to prove that he can beat what happened. I really do. And
you don't see like a change there, where maybe he just appreciates that he likes to play.
He's a different kind of competitor, man.
I would agree.
He is focused, and I think that he believes, and I think he's doing, I think a lot of it, he's doing it for his children. I think for his son to, have a son who's now, aware of his dad playing.
I think his son could beat him, though. That's a problem.
I think there's a lot going on, and I think there's a lot going on in his head, and I believe that if you're going to bet on anybody coming back in this day and age, right? How many athletes can you think about? You can obviously Brady. You're thinking about. You were thinking what 10 years ago. You're thinking Favre. You're thinking of Tiger. I would put Tiger in that list. I think that. I thought it was really
he's making more comebacks now than Roberto Duran.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. Breeze has been, sort of like baiting the water, going, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Meantime,
He's bitter he got fired by NBC. That's all. That's the only reason he suggested he was going to play again. Are you kidding me, Tony?
He just had shoulder surgery like a month ago. That would keep him out until October.
He's not playing.
He's not playing, Tony. I'm not buying that for a second.
He just doesn't want to deal with NBC.
He just dropped that out there in case some other network was going to dangle this ridiculous amount of color analyst money that's being offered up today.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine you're in this thing for 1 year. You're in this business. Yeah, you know how fickle it can be. Drew Brees was being, courted, and
I thought he would be.
Everybody in the world wanted to have Drew Brees if they couldn't get Peyton Manning, who was going to do his own thing because he has the ability to do it. And I would imagine Brees does too. He made plenty of money. Doesn't need it.
Yeah,
but he was kind of vapid, I guess. I mean, he didn't really bring much to the table as an analyst.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And I want to tell you though, to what you just what Peyton and Eli did. We talked about this about 2 months ago. That's the only way I'm going to watch Monday Night Football now.
Even with Joe Buck and and Troy Aikman doing the games now for $100 million a game.
I totally forgot about Troy and Joe, but
I'd rather watch the Mannings anyway. It wouldn't matter.
I love the Mannings.
That's why it was so silly to put this money out there.
That thing was so much better, man. It's literally what Defo's been talking about for years, where you don't have to make everything such a big thing. They talked about some things. Then when it was boring as hell, they would tell stories.
Yeah, every play is not compelling in the NFL.
Yeah,
and worthy of immense scrutiny and analysis, and the assertion that the coach who just called his 2-yard run is a genius for making that call.
Right.
Well, it reminded me of what Vince Scully. Why Vince Scully was so great is
they're honest.
He would tell stories, and he would
reference
reference this inning. They remember something from the 1940s, and then talk about going to the market and getting milk. It was cool. It was natural. It was organic, and it was entertaining. That's
sure.
People forget that that's what this stuff's supposed to be.
It pulls. Yes, you're spot on, right, Lubie. And you know what else? It pulls the curtain back.
Yes, that's what everyone
gives
wants.
You some insight on the human being that's doing it. It gives you. It shows their personality. They're not so staid and not so.
Yeah, they're fun.
The play-by-play announcer for the number one play-by-play announcer for ESPN who does the softball stuff. It's like when that person does it, I just shut the sound off because they just don't.
Oh, yeah.
It's all stat driven and they don't shut up.
No, Mendoza.
It's Jessica Mendoza syndrome. Yeah,
no, it's Mendoza herself. Because she was a softball star, so this is where she's supposed to shine.
And too much information.
Out stats all the time. It's like who cares?
Tony, we got to get into something more positive, though. And we'll get back to this. But
Catholic Health Services. Let's talk about them. I'm gonna go back again to tell you this, and we're gonna you and me, Defo, we're gonna take this to our grave, because the thing is, your loved one who is not doing well, whatever the case is, they're gonna get, they're gonna get good medical treatment. We hope. 99% of the time. But are you going to understand what that medical treatment is? Are you going to be told how it works? Are you going to be informed as to every step along the way? Chances are it's going to be difficult. My poor wife is going through hell and back right now because she can't get information from doctors on the loved one that's in the hospital. Okay. And this has been going on going on a month right now. It's like you to finally get a meeting with the doctor and or the therapist is like they're celebrating. They're having a party.
Yeah.
My wife is in Michigan. They're having a party right now because they can actually meet with them, and they still hope that the meeting is on. But with Catholic Health Services, it doesn't happen that way. They are engaged with the entire family. They're obviously engaged with the patient because, and I'm going to go back to this again too, because you have to repeat it to people over and over again. No matter what is going on with your loved one, it impacts the entire family. Defo, it's happened to you. Lubie, it's happened to you. It's certainly happening to us as I speak right now. When something is happening to a loved one, it impacts the entire family. So the entire family needs to be informed as to what's going on. If for no other reason, then how is my mother, or how is my mother-in-law, or how is my aunt and uncle and cousin and brother-in-law? How are they doing? Please tell me. Let me know. Well, we'll call you back. Well, what if, and then you're married to your phone. You're making sure that you're looking at it the whole time, because God forbid you miss the phone call, because if you miss the phone call, it's going to be another month before you hear from them.
Yeah.
Not at Catholic Health Services. We're going to talk about the positive things that Catholic Health Services does each and every day by a remarkable group of people who not only have the expertise, but they have the passion and the compassion for your loved one that is getting the therapy they need and any kind of medical treatment they need to get back on their feet quicker than anyone could have imagined, and chances are better than they were before. This is a group of people, you know how we talk about recruiting character? They recruit not just the top people in their field, but the top people who have the character to exercise that ability with compassion and passion. They do it every day. Catholic Health Services is a special, special, special place. We talk about it every week. We promise you, both Defo and I and Lubie, we've all had experiences there. Please make sure if you have a loved one who needs therapy, who needs any kind of treatment, call Catholic Health Services.
You're already dealing with the anxiety of somebody who's going through a medical condition and or trying to make some sort of comeback, and then you become infuriated with the total lack of transparency about what's going on, and you're making calls. And one thing I remember specifically about dealing with Catholic Health Services, and it wasn't just because we know the people there, they know of us. Every person that got on the phone with me from various phases of communication that we had to have seemed so authoritative about what they were doing, and yet,
genuine.
as you said, I mean, and compassionate also at the same time. So it really felt like wow, this has been transformational, and it was the situation.
And you know what? If I can add to that, Defo, and I think you can attest to this. Sometimes when you finally do get to a doctor or a nurse or someone who's taking care of your loved one, you feel like they're not paying attention. You feel like you're being rushed.
Yeah. Hey, what about my mother? What? She's still on the bus?
Yeah, exactly. When you talk to someone at Catholic Health Services, they are totally focused on you.
True.
You never feel rushed. You never feel like they're trying to get away from you. And
they don't dodge your call either. Yeah.
No,
that's
special.
Unbelievable. All right, Tony Segreto. Well, we'll wrap things up. Old school with Tony Segreto on his fine
this
Wednesday.
hour flew by.
Yeah, it's good. And many things still in it. It's been a fascinating period of time in sports. I'm riveted to half a dozen different events. I'm back with more in a moment. Now that
The time.
Skippy Longstocking on the outside coming on. It's 8:55.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Obviously, the people here know you very well, Tony Segreto. You were ingrained in many people's childhoods here, and they followed you and evolved with you over your 40 years on TV here in South Florida, and everybody loves you. And by the way, you still look the damn same, like
you're like frustrated
in the background on a Mickey Mouse Club or something. I mean, and I know you're close to like Cubby or one of those guys, but
Cubby
I mean,
O'Brien.
how
yeah.
is that possible? What are you using? Are you shooting Botox? Are you using that serum from that cantaloupe, Dr. Savant? Because pictures of you look very much the same, Tony Segreto.
Why do you think I'm up here? There's an elixir right here in my in the woods that I have.
You find oil. You're like the Beverly Hillbillies up there.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
exactly. We're on the Dick Clark Seacrest diet, whatever that is. Yeah.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show. A couple of minutes ago here of Old School with Tony Segreto on the Defo Show. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Don't know yet of the status of one Dave Gergel's
7:30, he'll be with us for a full Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
I'm assuming he's ready to go. So thank you for that information, Mike Lubitz. And then on Friday, a Degenerate Friday, we did talk yesterday on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, the radio show we're doing on the Odyssey radio app. We did talk to Kate and Bradar about the Preakness coming up.
We're going to talk to her twice this week. She'll be with us, I hope, via video at 7:20 Friday morning.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. And she has her jockey, Florent Giroux. Her husband is a jockey agent for Florent Giroux on that 50-1 shot. And then, Tony, I mean, what a beautiful weekend we have on tap here. I'm a big fan of the French Open. I've been watching a ton of these preliminary clay court tournaments. They just had the Italian Open. They were in Stuttgart. They were in Monte Carlo. And there's a new sensation, as the song goes. Or was that a commercial? There's a new sensation. And that's this Carlos Alcaraz, who is following in the footsteps, of being Spain's favorite son of Rafael Nadal, who looks like he has some problems here. And even though he's won the French, I think 13 times, Nadal, of his 21 slams, doesn't look like he's up to it. Djokovic is rounding back into form, so that's going to be great. But this kid's writing a hell of a story there. And then on the women's side, this young lady, I don't know if you've been catching this Iga Swiatek.
Yeah, she's
from Poland, man, has won 28 straight matches. Holy Serena Williams. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
Without being an overwhelming, powerful presence. I mean, she just plays like an all-around game. So a lot of interest.
I agree. Listen, Defo, I agree with you. I mean, whether it's the French Open, whether it's the NBA or NHL playoffs, whether it's the women's softball, whatever it is you like, you got the
horses
coming up. Yeah. I mean, it is just. Listen, if you can't find if you're a sports fan and you can't find something this weekend to watch, then you're not a sports fan. You really aren't. Because
and you have the Mets and Yankees playing, top-notch baseball.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge,
fabulous.
wow.
Yeah. Aaron Judge
he's going to spit on that contract that Cashman offered him for like $217 million, saying, "What are you talking about? Chump change, my friend." Chump.
He said, I'm going to bet on myself, and here we go. And not only that, and I think we talked about this last week, or I know I talked about it at dinner with a bunch of people. He's not only doing it on the field, he's doing it off the field as well. I mean, he is Mr. Yankee without question right now. He is the guy. He's living up to the foundation set by Ruth and Gehrig and DiMaggio and Mantle. I mean, he is just, he carries that stick, and it is a stick to him compared to other guys because he's such a big guy. But boy, oh boy, he's like him or not, he's carrying on. He's really doing it well, both on and off the field.
You just hope it continues. And Lubie's favorite player, Giancarlo Stanton, is actually playing very well for the Yankees. And Anthony Rizzo from Parkland, Florida, is having a
absolutely
pretty remarkable start to the season.
It's fun to watch. Man, you watch those iconic teams. Again, you need those iconic teams like the Celtics and the Yankees and, teams like that. Then you need them to win because whether you like them or not, that's the reason you need them to win because there's just as many people who love them, just as many people don't like them. And it creates great conversation and it creates, a buzz within the game. And I think it's like what you said, when you have the Mets and the Yankees this weekend, my gosh, there's no question when you walk around Manhattan, there are more Yankee hats than Met hats. And then when you get out to the burbs, then when you get out to the burbs,
try going to Queens there, my friend, in Long Island.
Yeah, no,
there are always going to be more Yankee fans than Met fans because the Met fans are resigned. I was talking to one of my favorite Met fans the other day, Ira the Met fan, a longtime Met fan since their inception there. I mean, he still talks about Casey with great reverence and Cranepool, and all of these guys. And, I mean, you have to be resigned to the fact, especially in the last, 30 years or so, 40, 50 years, since '86 that the Mets are going to collapse at some point. So we'll wait for that. Tony, we got to run. It's been a pleasure as always. Catholic Health Services.
Send me
Texas
that
Roadhouse.
list on the golf.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll send that to you. I'll email that to you. You'll have to get right back to me with that one.
Yeah,
so,
I will. I have a busy day, but I want to see it, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I have DJ from a difficult series of choices. I have Daniel Berger, Patrick Cantlay, who played real well in this two-man tournament that they had going recently. I think he won that with his partner. I have Justin Rose, who usually shows up big in these kind of spots. Lowry, you have to have Lowry in there, Shane Lowry. Scotty Scheffler's on fire, so I used him. And this guy, Joaquin Neiman, who I wasn't that familiar with, but he seems to be showing up in these big tournaments with at least a respectable score, which you just need nobody to bomb out. It was tough, though. Jordan Spieth, a lot of people like him in this thing. So I'll send it to you, Tony, and I'll also send your regards out to our audience here. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll do it again tomorrow. Dave Gurgles Gurgley with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge plus some other stuff. And we'll have a little prelude to Game 2, a very pivotal Game 2 for the Florida Panthers. And we'll see if the Celtics can make a battle of it after collapsing in the third quarter last night against the Heat. All right, Tony, thanks.
Thanks, Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. They're the best.
All right, people, we'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Be ready. Have your thinking caps on because there'll be some brain busters coming from Dave Gurgles Gurgley on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Thanks to Hialeah also and Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo, just a dynamite destination. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.